Okay, we're gonna take a look under the tarp. Didn't expect that.
Well, if you got a dollar, well, just lousy down. You know that I got rhythm that could suit your budget fine.
Hey, this is Patrick with Trusty Huckster Mercantile. It's early. Hey, this is Patrick with Trusty Huckster Mercantile. I am filming the first part of what I hope will be an interesting kind of a shop with me video, because it's the first live auction I'm going to, definitely within the current pandemic, but I want to say the first live auction I've attended since I started reselling. I haven't attended live auctions a lot. Mostly they've been online, but this one piqued my interest. It's a farm auction. It is not having anything up on the internet, so it will just be the people there at the auction. So I'm driving about an hour out in the country to get to it. So I'm starting out very early on a Saturday morning. I am not a morning person, but I'm caffeinated and on my way. So we shall see. I don't know if it'll be easy to film. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. There's something about 3 rings. Maybe it'll be a circus. I don't know. So we'll see what happens, but I'm on my way. I promise I'm alert enough to drive. It's not that early, just earlier than I would like to be out and about on a Saturday morning. But regardless, stay tuned. Let's see what we got. So, looks like I was not the only person with the idea to come to a country auction. Had to park a little bit down the road, and walking up, you can see the line of cars parked on the street. And as I get past the pickup truck, you can see them all lined up on the farm land itself. Of course, it started raining, which I had not anticipated, but luckily I did have a coat in my car. Not cold, but it's all going to be outdoors, so we shall see. Or I think it's going to be outdoors. I don't see the rings, so we shall see how it's actually structured, but at least, there's going to be competition. Let's go. Well, it looks like an interesting start. Everything's going to be covered under tarps because of the rain. Well, it'll be an interesting first experience. So I am registered, the Richard A. Olson Associates auction, number 150. So 149 people got up even earlier than I did to get here. Some of the areas are covered with tarp, some of them aren't. So it looks like this is going to be more industrial. Oh, looks like we're getting started.
Back over in the house line there, so watch behind you backing up. Watch that guy in the wheelchair, in the lawn chair there. He's going to back up over there, work on those racks in that center yard. Over there is mostly household and collectibles.
I think that's where I want to go. Household and collectibles. Let's head that way. Alright, this is a site you don't see very often. Check out all of these small probably salesman sample stoves, I guess. An entire line of these.
Carousel. I don't know if they wind
Lamps?
up or
Anybody?
make noise or anything,
Lamps?
but there you go. Right, there to go, but to go. Miller High Life, right there to go.
Some fun industrial stuff under this tarp. This is just one of those things that you don't typically see it outside of its housing. It's the inside of a cash register. The only reason I even knew that was because of all the monetary amounts up at the top. So each one of the buttons, so would have had one of those big old-fashioned cases. So I don't know if there's much need for just innards, but kind of a fun industrial ad. And an automatic cashier with its case. So taking a peek at some of the decorated porcelain. Got a lacquer bowl made in Japan. This is coming up into the next lot. And what do I land on? My spidey senses were tingling. I've got a Coalport coaster. Don't come across these very often. Coalport's a great name, and depending on what this box goes for, I might pick it up specifically just to buy this. We shall see.
Now 5,000 550, 550, now 600 now half. 650, 650, choice 650, 650, now 700, 700 now half. 750, 7 down, 7 now 80, 800 now half, 850, 850, 850, 850 now 900, 900, 875, 875, 850 now 75. You make up your own story when you get it home. 875, 850, 75, 875, 850 now 70. You don't have to tell them you got it in an auction. You just make up a story. 875, 850 now 75, 875, 875. I got 850 right here. Now 75. You can take them both. 875 all done. 875. So right here, $850. Thank you, sir. Number 97.
Okay, well, I'm not getting on here, but we've got the old-fashioned how much do you weigh, coin-operated, over 200 questions and answers, so I guess you can be entertained while it's insulting you, telling you how much you weigh. And then a much taller, looks like a cast iron, correct weight, 1 cent. It's a city license from St. Petersburg, Florida, but the machine was made here in Chicago. So we dropped the coin in the top, and this is just a really impressive piece. So we've got a couple of these big outdoor pieces, some old machine tools, great old stove, and even some arcade. So we got Meadows Lane Let's Bowl and Jet Fighter. So I've mentioned before that art is difficult for me because it's expensive to ship, and everyone has a very distinct opinion of what they want. So it's a very subjective thing to carry. But some of the pieces that they have sold already have gone for some really good prices, and so they had a big cart of framed art that they've now spread out onto carts they've already emptied, and they're going to be selling these. Oh, let's not get demonetized. We're selling these coming up. They haven't sold these yet, so they're just laying them out so people can get a really good look. Unfortunately, it's great magazine cover in a kind of a nice frame, but the glass is shattered. So sometimes you'll have to find new frames for some of this art. But some really good sized pieces, and most of them in pretty good condition, that probably they're going to go for a reasonable enough price that if I want them for my own decor, they're going to be some good prices. So I just thought I'd kind of highlight that. They're taking a break from the decor section that I'm in. They're selling trains in the background, which I'm not looking at. They're about to go sell liquor bottles, so I'm taking a little bit of a break. I've actually successfully purchased some items, so I'll try and do a haul video later. So I'm going to start taking those to my car because I'm parked quite a mile away, and a couple of things I bought are kind of heavy. But just since it was all laid out so nicely, I wanted to showcase, kind of, again, the types of things you can get when you come to a country auction. So I'm actually in a different part of the auction, in with the furniture, and they actually have more of the scales. They got the medical scale, which, again, I'm not going anywhere near that one. This one has the Your Fortune, Weigh Your Fate, in what month were you born, and then the ever lovely idea of what you're supposed to weigh. I hate those. And capacity of 300 pounds, your fortune shown here. Oh, and you're supposed to put the coin based on the slot where you were when you were born. I've never seen that. That's kind of cool. This one says it's a scale, but it also measures your strength. And in an ultimately sexist move, it tells us that men are supposed to have stronger strength than the women. And I can guarantee I have met many women that are far stronger than me. So, again, a sign of its age, but still very interesting. So I've been here for 6 hours. I'm getting tired, I'm getting hungry, and the sun has come out, and I'm afraid I'm going to get a mask tan. But I did pick up some things, so I will be doing a haul. Not sure it'll be at the end of this one, or if I'll do a separate one. I don't remember how many clips I've got, so I don't know how long it's going to be. But I have finished my day, my first auction. Richard Olson and Associates out of Morris, Illinois. Auction's still going, but I'm done. So what I'm going to show you is really the highlights of the auction that I purchased while I was there. I did purchase a couple of box lots, which, you know, had some things in there. Some will get donated to Goodwill. Some I might try and resell. Some of it, the jury's still out exactly what will happen. But I did purchase the box lots in each case specifically for at least one or two items in there that I paid the amount that I'll be able to resell for or were worth to me. That the rest of it was superfluous. So if I can sell it, hey, great, extra profit. If I don't sell it and I donate it, no big loss. So I'm not going to showcase everything because then it would be a very, 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 very long video. So I will start out with the item that actually brought me to the auction, and it is right there. It is this gaming wheel. So admittedly, I kind of got the idea. Backing it up, I was trying to find a wall clock, and large wall clocks, unless I get into the regulator style, which I don't particularly like, big wall clocks just really, their vintage is like from the 90s. They're not something that I was having a hard time finding something, unless an electric one that plugged in, which wasn't really my aesthetic. So I thought maybe I could find something to repurpose into a clock, and I stumbled across the idea of these gaming wheels. They mount to usually a pole or something that would actually allow them to spin, as this one does. So I could mount it to the wall, and my thought would be is somehow in the middle is where I would attach the mechanism, which you can buy that at just a hobby store, and then I would just have the hands of the clock. I wouldn't worry about putting the numbers on the wheel. The clock hands would just point to where they wanted to point or where they needed to point. I can tell time. So I was really looking for them. They go for a really high dollar amount on eBay and Etsy. Plus, you then have to ship them. And I didn't want to do that for something that I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to repurpose it. So there were two of these at the auction. I will comment on this. I'll just say it now. It comes up a little bit probably as I show some other items. The way this auction worked may be completely normal because I've not attended a live auction before. But what I noticed is as the day was progressing, I was there 5 or 6 hours and they still had a lot left to sell. And so as the day was progressing, they were starting to grab multiple things to sell things faster. So instead of selling this by itself and the other wheel by itself and the other things they threw in by themselves, they put both of the wheels, the one post that was available, plus a box lot of contemporary poker chips, put them all into one lot and was selling it by as a set. And I really only wanted this one or the other wheel. The other wheel was cool because it actually was two-sided. This one's one-sided. And I'm like, you know what? I saw what they were selling for. So I thought, well, if I get the other one, maybe I can resell it. But once the auction went over $200 for the lot, even though I knew even an individual one was selling for more than that, I wasn't convinced that was the best use of my money because I wasn't still not sure, and as of right now I'm still not sure how I'm going to turn this into a clock. So I bowed out right at 200. It went a little bit higher than that, and I did approach the winning bidder, and because it was a combined lot, I asked him, would you be interested at all in separating out the lot? Because I didn't really care which wheel I got. The other one was slightly nicer, but because I was going to mount it, you wouldn't even see the other side. So that this was realistically, this was the one I figured would go less money and, it would work for my purposes. And he did agree to sell this outright. And he charged me $75 for it, which I thought was totally fair. He maybe he had no requirement to sell it proportionally, but he paid at least $225, if not higher. I can't remember how many bids went after I dropped out, but so selling this for $75, I was pretty happy with that, because again, they were selling for much higher than that. So it is a gaming wheel. If it doesn't turn into a clock, I still think this actually could look kind of cool with my huckster collection. Kind of a huckster thing, kind of gaming, rigged carnival wheel. So this was what took me there. It was the last item I picked up, but I wanted to start with it because it is a cool item, and it's going to sit here above my head like the Sword of Damocles, because I have no place else to put it right now. So takes the curiosity away of why this big wheel is sitting behind me. And I'll go ahead and highlight the other one that's behind me. This ended up being a joint lot as well. This was the only piece in it that I wanted. It is a political cartoon, French. I will have to translate it. They're bowing to a bottle. So there's some parts of this that I wasn't sure exactly what the satire was. But you've got, I would say it's somewhere around World War I, based on the military uniforms that are in place in the picture. It's very nicely framed. It's filthy, so I hopefully will be able to clean it up and keep it in its frame. But I might take it out of its frame because it appears to just be a political cartoon. I might be able to ship it just as a piece of paper for a lot lighter weight and let somebody else reframe it. So I don't know how I'm going to sell this yet, but I will just say I paid $1 for the entire box lot of framed work. The rest of it's going to go to Goodwill. This one is going to be resold. I felt I needed to get it, if nothing else, to save it from being destroyed. So I now have it, and we shall see what I do with it. As I mentioned, one of the things they were doing as the day progressed is starting to combine things into multiple lots into one selling event. The way it was set up, and if you saw that video, I didn't really go into the details of how the auction was structured, but you saw I did some video of the actual outdoor event. And it was raining when it started, so they had all of these very large racks, which were like wheeled carts, that had all this merchandise on it. They were covered with tarps. So it did make it difficult to do a lot of inspections before the auction started. But the rain went away as the day progressed. It actually got a little sunny. It actually turned into a really nice day to be outside. And so it was a little bit easier as the items went. But as we started, they uncovered one of the carts, took the tarp away, and then there were 2 to 3 people per cart. One person was up in a truck that kind of was higher than everybody else. He was the auctioneer, so he could see down and see everything. Then there were 3 people standing at different parts of the cart, and they would literally just grab something, and it kind of went round robin. The auctioneer said, okay, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? They'd hold something up, and in the beginning, they were doing individual lots. So the first couple of things I got were individual items, which I was very happy about because they ended up being items that I wanted, and they didn't, although I didn't even know that was a possibility, they didn't end up getting combined with things that I had no interest in getting. So I did pick up 2 items early on that went for really reasonable prices as a standalone item that I felt like, they were going for cheap enough, I could probably do something with it. And this was one of the items. Now, what is important to note is I mentioned that this was actually the very first item that I purchased. And again, because of the tarps, it was very difficult to inspect all of the items very clearly. I had seen this. I had opened it up. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was kind of cool. It had that industrial aesthetic. It is a reel-to-reel recorder and player. It is Webco is the name of the company, and it's a portable case that has a handle, and when you open it up, the lid comes off. So I'm going to do that so it doesn't fall off. And you have a compact hi-fi. So you've got the reel-to-reel, you've got the place for the tape to go in the middle, you've got the place for the plugs, there's a foot pedal. It appears to be all here. I have no idea if it's functioning, but because I didn't have a chance to really heavily inspect everything, I didn't pick it up. That was a mistake. Because when they handed it to me after I successfully won it, I almost dropped it because it weighs about 10 pounds. So, you know, they don't make them like they used to. So I have this massive Web Core is the name of the company. I said Webco. It's Web Core, WBCOR. This, you know, great looking. I mean, from an aesthetic standpoint, this would just kind of look cool sitting up on a shelf, you know, just as a shelf sitter. But it may be completely functional. I have no idea. It does have the speaker in the side, so it kind of looks cool with that. It's one of those cases that it's probably going to cost so much to ship it. I may need to do it as a local sale, but it was really one of those, like, I guess to a certain extent, George from the Antique Nomad, he talks a lot about auction fever. It probably was kind of like the start of auction fever. I was in a new experience. I was, you know, it was raining. There were a lot of people there. I was number 150. So there were a lot of people there. I wanted to buy something. And so when this basically crossed the box, I think I paid $1 for it. I just felt, hey, cool, I paid $1 and, you know, I got this item. So it may be a doorstop for the rest of my life. I have no idea. But I just thought it was kind of cool. And I thought it was fun to pick that up. So that was one of the items that went as a standalone. And the other item that ended up going as a standalone was actually probably, other than the gambling wheel, this was probably my favorite item from the entire sale. Which, it doesn't look like much, but if you look at it, you can kind of see that there's a place for mailing information. It's a postal box of some sort. And if you look really closely, it says it is a laundry pack. So you can see they're written at the bottom. The artwork's a little bit scuffed, but it is a laundry pack from FIBERCO, Fiberco. So it is a military laundry box that they could actually put their laundry in this and ship it home and be shipped back to them to get fresh laundry. Now, I don't know how common that was. I don't know, if were they not doing laundry, but they're not exceptionally rare, but they have such a great look to them. They sell fairly consistently in the $25 to $50 range, depending on their condition. So there's a handful of them up on Etsy or on eBay right now, which means this will probably end up in one of my live sales. Usually if there's a lot of competition for a specific item, I always price on the low end, but it's very difficult when there's a lot out there. But the good thing is they do regularly sell. So I'll probably sell this in one of my live sales. It's just kind of a cool piece. I will box it to ship it. I will not ship it as its own because it is just a fiberboard case. But it's got these cool brass accents. It's got the studs, holding it together. It still has the fabric, the webbing to strap it together. It's just in really, really, really good condition for what it is and for the age it is. And it's, although, like I say, they're not particularly rare, they're also not common enough that when people see it, they don't necessarily know what it is. And I think that was the case at the auction. People just saw they announced it as an organizer, so I don't think necessarily everyone knew what it was. And I didn't pay $1 for it, but I didn't pay much. And I thought it was really just kind of a fun find, so picked this up as well. A couple of items I got were combined, but I had inspected the cart, and it happened that the two of the things that were combined were both things that I was interested in. So one of them was this little chrome and glass, I don't even know what you would call this. It's got the salt and peppers in it. There's a little rack to hold the salt and peppers, and then there's these little relish dishes that are glass inserts with the aluminum and chromed tops. So it's a complete set, 2 relish dishes and a salt and pepper shaker.
Once upon a time, it was red, but you can see some of the enameling from the red is starting to wear off, so you're seeing the base metal underneath it. So in those cases, those are not the best condition, but the glass is in perfect condition. There's no chips, there's no cracks, and the glass inserts have like a little kind of molded bubble pattern in the bottom, and then also the molded kind of like the candle wicking design along the sides. It's all in great condition. There's no chips, there's no cracks. So this is one of those items that probably, because I can't find any branding on it, this will go into a live sale just because it's harder for things like this to get found on Etsy without, you know, a specific keyword that people would be looking for. But it is a really nice set. I mean, it's unfortunate the red is wearing, but a lot of people like that patina. So I picked that up. So I was very happy to pick that up. But it got combined with a set of aluminum sherbet cups. So these initially came in the box. There were 4 in the original box. In the original box, it kind of looks like, you know, it's like a kind of a generic box. There's no branding, there's no information on the maker, but there is an insert in here, so it's not like it's just somebody wrapped them in tissue and shoved them in a nice looking box. It does look like this is what they were sold in, just interestingly, there's no maker. But what there is a little card that's tucked into them, and it says that, basically says what they are. So it's telling me that they are aluminum, because that was, you know, one of the first questions. They are referring to them as cocktail cups, which, you know, I guess you could say they're a champagne coupe. You know, so they're very shallow, you know, shallow bowl. So they're saying cocktail, maybe shrimp cocktail. It doesn't specify. Just as these cocktail cups are custom made, a special aluminum alloy highly polished to maintain. Do not put in dishwasher or use detergents. To clean, if necessary, use flannel cloth with fine silver polish. So they are an aluminum alloy. So I'm going to keep the card with this set of 4, but there was another set of 4. So I have a total of 8 of these. It's just 4 of them are in the box and 4 of them are not. So I haven't found them yet. The design is kind of cool. You can see that's narrow. The profile is narrow, and then it's kind of a wider, you know, at the base. And again, they're relatively shallow. They're not marked themselves. Just, you know, kind of a cool piece. So that was, you know, like I said, it's kind of like that was becoming the sign that, they're starting to combine things. So in this case, I got lucky because what they combined were things that I was interested in. The next time they combined, I wasn't as lucky because the lot was all something I was somewhat interested in, but it meant that the lot got very, very large. And so it started getting expensive. So what I have is a box lot that is in a crate that is filled with some level of decorative porcelain. Now, it just so happened that while I was at the auction, which is amazing in the sense that we were all wearing masks, a gentleman that I had worked with on Facebook Marketplace, he is a eBay store, but he's local to me, and we've done some purchases. I did some purchases from him on Facebook for items that I kept in my personal collection, as well as a couple of items I ended up reselling. He was there, so we were talking about, you know, what he was looking to buy. There were a lot of items of specific of Asian and Japanese manufacture and design, and he was talking about which ones were legitimately vintage versus which ones were, you know, contemporary reproductions, and then which ones he was going after versus which ones I was going after. At no point were at least in my case, there was no point that I was going after anything significantly enough that I would have been trying to compete against him. But we started talking about this box of porcelain because some of the things that were in it were things that he was interested in, and then there were a couple of items that I was interested in, one of them being a coaster. So what we talked a little bit, and I said, you know, maybe this would be something that instead of bidding against each other, would you be interested in splitting it? You know, figure out what we want and then each buy, you know, the pieces that we want. And so he said he was amenable to that as long as we didn't want the same pieces. So the bidding on the box, because it got so big, there were so many items put into it. The bidding on the box actually went relatively high, went much higher than anything that I was interested enough in, including the coaster. The coaster's cold port, so there's definitely some value to it, but the box was going so much that I'm like, even if I resold the cold port and a couple of the other pieces, there wasn't enough value in my eyes to justify the purchase. It turned out he saw something that was in there that had enough value, so he ended up offering to me, you know what, I think he took maybe 4 or 5 things out of it, one of which I would have been interested in, but nothing that I knew specifically a lot about. It was just a lacquer bowl. He took those 4 or 5 items and he said, these are the only things I wanted. What do you want? And so I started kind of picking. I picked the coaster and a couple of things. And he's like, why don't you just take the rest of the lot? What do you think? So I threw a number at him, thinking I was going to insult him but I really only wanted a handful of things. I didn't want the rest of the box. And he just said, oh, that's fine. So I ended up getting, like I said, a lot of extra items that will probably end up going to Goodwill, but it was an interesting box to pick up. And the focus item for me was this coaster. So it is a cold port coaster. What I also liked about it, it's the first time I've received a cold port coaster that actually has the paperwork in it that talks about cold port and giving a brief history. So that was included. The box is the box to the original item. It says Paradise right on it, and it is the Paradise coaster. So you've got the bird of paradise there on the front, and on the back you've got the cold port stamp, and then the design pattern of Paradise. So I picked this up, probably reselling this. It's probably not going to give me all of the money that I paid him, but it's going to get me most of the way to the money that I paid him. And I have to sell the coaster. So some of the other items that were in there, of the others, the one that I was probably most interested in was then this one. So I just loved the look, the color, the shape and size of this one. It is fairly large, so it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to ship. But it is marked Amari, and it is clearly stamped on the back that it was expressly produced for Heritage Mint Limited in Japan. Now, I don't know anything about Heritage Mint Limited. I haven't researched this one yet. So this is actually very, very large. This will be somewhat expensive to ship, so I have to be careful about what I do with this online. If I can find enough information on this one, I might sell it on Etsy. Because it is would be considered a little bit more of a specialty piece as a piece of Amari porcelain, but I need to figure out what this Heritage Mint is to see, is there any real value to this? A couple small things that were in there. We had a little teapot, European stamp on the teapot. I thought it was Lefton, but it's not. It's Rubens porcelain, but it has the look of a Lefton, like little pitcher and bowl. We've got the bowl here too. So, there's a couple pieces that, again, these are not going to be big ticket items, but selling them for a few bucks, probably in one of my live sales, I'll be able to make the money back, maybe make a little bit of profit. And it was just kind of fun to be able to, effectively like shop with somebody. And between the two of us, I even asked him afterwards, like, are you like okay with what I paid you for this box? Because it wasn't worth more to me because there was a bunch of stuff in there I didn't really want, but I knew that there was value to it. And I didn't want him to feel like I was trying to take advantage of it. But to him, he really only wanted those 5 pieces. And he was getting the same frustration is that, he wished these things weren't getting combined because then he was ending up buying things he didn't need. So, it actually worked out that some of the superfluous stuff he didn't want, I did want. It just ended up being even more superfluous stuff that I now have to figure out how to get rid of. Appreciate you watching this video. Hopefully you found it somewhat interesting. As with all of my haul videos, if you see anything that you're interested in, except for the gambling wheel, everything else is going off. Even the cold port coaster, everything is going off to be resold, whether onto eBay, Etsy, or on one of my live sales. So if you're interested, drop a comment in the video, drop me an email, Instagram, whatever you want to do. If you're interested in something, maybe we can work something out. I'm looking to sell it. If you're looking to buy it, I'm sure we can make something happen. So if you've gotten this far in watching the video and you're not a subscriber, would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. Maybe do the thumbs up on the video. Again, share, comment in the comment section. Those types of things do actually make a difference for my video to get found throughout the YouTube community. So every little bit that you do to help me do that helps me know what kind of content to continue putting out and how to build my channel. So thanks again for watching. Thanks again for giving me your time, and thanks for putting your trust in Trusty Huckster. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Well, show me a sign if you're wishing me to stay. Otherwise, I say goodbye, finish out the day. And that sunrise in the morning and you got nothing to say. Oh, that's when I'll be headed on my